Wolfpack Nation. Thank you guys so much for joining our latest episode here, our latest show, an interview we've got here with a really special guest heading into this game against Texas Tech that I know everybody's excited about. We've got Trevor Williams here with The Nation podcast for Texas Tech fans. And the Red Raiders, I know everybody's really excited about this matchup, and we wanted to give fans the opportunity to hear directly from one of the main insider fans we have there at Texas Tech. So, Trevor, how are you, man? Welcome to the show.
Doing well. Thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, you're with The Nation, and you were kind of telling us offline how you just recently had a name change. I think you were Guns Up Nation, and now you've just rebranded to The Nation. Can you talk a little bit about how your podcast started, where it's at now, the reason, you don't have to get all the details of the name change, but just tell us about your podcast, man.
Yeah.
What got you interested?
So our creator's name is Michael. He started as a fan page some years back, started on Facebook, and grew to where it is today. I think on Twitter now we have like 30,000 followers. So I joined a couple of years ago as a contributor, writing some articles, hopping on podcasts where I'm needed, things like that. And it's been cool. It's been a fun ride. It's fun to be a part of something that's growing really fast and feel like we've got a good market share of the Texas Tech fan base and community.
That's awesome. So do you feel like do you guys focus on one sports more than the other? How do you get your information out? Do you provide information on like recruiting and things like that? What can people look for if they were to go and find you at The Nation?
So kind of all of the above. We don't particularly specialize in any sports. We do our best to provide coverage year-round as much as possible. I would say Twitter is where we're most active with things. I mean, even the smaller sports like tennis and golf, regularly providing updates on how those athletes are doing. But then obviously for the bigger sports, football, basketball, baseball, women's basketball, softball, things like that, regular articles, that we tweet those out as well. And then we have a network of podcasts. So some different podcasts that are part of the Nation group. Some of them, like we've got one this year that's doing tailgates only. So they're broadcasting live from the tailgate scene, going around to different tailgates and getting some cool, fan interactions there. So kind of all of the above, man. We don't specialize in anything. Anything Texas Tech related, we'll get into it.
That's awesome. So can we expect to have a Texas Tech tailgate live stream coming in from Carter Finley Stadium this upcoming weekend?
That's a great question. I'll have to get with those guys and ask, but I don't know if they're doing road games, but if they are, that would be really cool. All I've seen on Twitter this week is how excited the NC State fan base is to have a night game. I saw maybe somewhere as a blackout potentially. Sounds like it's going to be a good time.
Well, the team's definitely going to be wearing their black jerseys. I don't think they asked the fans to wear all black or anything like that, but it'll be a fun game for sure. Yeah. So, but Michael, you got anything for him?
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. Like Macon was saying, if you do an away game, this would be a good one to do. We take pride in our tailgating. We've got a guy on Tuffy Talk, Greg, that he's very proud of his tailgates and his tailgate menu every week. So, nice. Yeah, definitely would be a good one to come to if you can't make it this year at some point.
Yeah. So, Trevor, let me ask you, man. So, Texas Tech, NC State fans don't really have a lot of basis with Texas Tech. Probably the closest connection they have is seeing Patrick Mahomes play on NFL every Sunday and killing it, really. I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best. Can you give State fans an inside, or maybe a 30,000 view of what the Texas Tech program is like? Not even have to be just football. It could be, but you can even branch it out to the athletic department as a whole. Yeah,
so football specifically, some of your older fans especially may remember the Mike Leach days where Texas Tech was kind of at its heyday, at least in this century. After that, there's been some struggles. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is the bright spot there, although you can look back at those records and see that we kind of wasted his talent a little bit, as most of the fan base would tell you. But as far as the athletics department as a whole, I think there's a vibe within the community and within the fan base over the last 5 or 6 years, it's on an upward trajectory, and it's across all sports. There's a track and field national championship. Small things like getting to the national championship in the basketball game. Men's basketball was huge. The baseball team is a regular in Omaha, hosting super regionals and hosting regionals almost every year. I know you guys have a great baseball program as well. I'm still sick for you guys at what happened a couple of years ago.
Dude, don't even get us started, man. That was so
Yeah.
bad. We got robbed so bad.
Yeah, but it seems like everything's on an upward trajectory, and the one thing that was lacking seemed to be the football program. And our athletic director Kirby Hocutt has a pretty strong track record of good hires. In basketball, went from Chris Beard to Mark Adams,
great coach.
which both look like home run hires. On baseball, we've got Tim Tadlock, former Texas Tech shortstop that, like I mentioned, has led our baseball team to some very high highs. And then with the football program, it was kind of lacking. Hired Matt Wells, which didn't pan out. But here with the Joey Maguire hire, I'm sure your fan base and you guys aren't in the Texas Tech Twitter neck of the world. But man, there's a different juice to it this year. And maybe you guys can relate because NC State seems to be obviously ranked in the top 15 right now. You got some juice behind you, but it really feels like there's some energy in the fan base. There's some energy with the team. And as we've seen in the first 2 games, it seems like the product on the field is what Texas Tech has been hoping for and yearning for. And head coach Joey Maguire had a ESPN Plus series this offseason called The Brand. And one of his big things is really just establishing a brand for Texas Tech, and something I think that we can all agree with. And it looks like through the first 2 games that they are finally getting a brand established. Results to come. This is year 1 that, obviously nobody's expecting a conference championship or anything like that this year, but establishing a brand and, playing tough, hard-nosed football seems to be back in Lubbock. And so the fan base is really excited.
Yeah. So when you say the brand there, so is that hard-nosed football? Is that the brand, the identity of this program that you see Joey Maguire wanting to bring, or is it a little bit more than that?
That's a great question. They have a saying called "Take 3." They want 3 turnovers from the defense every game. Obviously we have Kitley, who came from Western Kentucky, with Bailey Zappi last year, breaking all of those passing records. So on the offensive side, it may not be hard nosed, lining up in the I formation and running down your throat, but there's some aspects to the team and the defense that we haven't seen in some years in Lubbock.
That's awesome.
So, just from my, brief knowledge of Texas Tech and the new hire, Joey Maguire, it seems like fans are excited too about what he brings in recruiting, and that he's got good connections at the high school level in Texas, which, as everybody knows, the high school football in Texas is pretty much the best there is.
Sure.
So could you talk a little bit about him from that angle?
Yeah, so that's a great point, and it's something that seemed to be lacking under Matt Wells, coming from Utah State. Didn't seem like he had the connections in Texas to be able to flip these guys from the TCUs of the world that we're doing now. The UTs, the A&Ms, things like that, where we have an actual chance of getting these guys to come to Lubbock. Obviously with Joey Maguire, he was at Cedar Hill for many years, a few state championships, and then went to Baylor and was under Matt Rule and Dave Aranda there. I'm sure you well know. But it seems that his connections are laying the groundwork and the foundation for what's to come, and establishing some of these relationships, and forging the relationships with the high school coaches that he already has in place, and getting the best athletes that he can to Texas Tech.
Yeah, I think at one point earlier in the year, Texas Tech had the number 1 recruiting class.
Yeah, for 2023. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you guys are really bringing a lot of that talent there. Obviously, Texas is really strong. And you mentioned that hard-nosed football coming. I know Dave Doran, he's kind of had this brand here at NC State that he's established called Hard, Tough, Together. And he's kind of got this HTT kind of thing. I mean, he had this really, really nice quote back in 2014 talking about NC State where and I'm going to kind of read it, but he said, this is a blue collar school. This is a work ethic, hands in the dirt school. It's an agricultural school. It's a textile school. It's an engineering school.
Yeah.
It's founded by tough people, and that's what this football team will be. And that's kind of embodied where State fans are. And when you say that, it kind of sounds similar to what Dave Doran wants to do with his program, that Joey Maguire wants to do with Texas Tech. So in the first two games, how have you seen that play out with Texas Tech so far? I mean, we watched the game against Houston. I kind of caught the end of that and watched the highlights back. That was an exciting game, I would say, for Texas Tech fans.
Absolutely. And just to go back on one of your points for just a second, so that little saying that you said that NC State has, there is something similar that I forgot to mention with Texas Tech. Pump jack mentality. You may see the team travels with a miniature pump jack. And for any of your fans that maybe aren't as familiar with the oil industry, Lubbock out there in West Texas is surrounded by lots of farmland and lots of oil. And so it's kind of similar blue collar vibe where they want to represent the university and the surrounding areas the best they can. And so the pump jack mentality is simply a euphemism for the pump jacks. They never stop. They're going all night, 24/7. So it's kind of a similar thing where it's just, a grinding team, a team that doesn't give up, has an edge, that kind of thing. So, perfect point there. It does sound like, Texas Tech and NC State have some similarities in that regard, at least. But as far as the Houston game goes, it was a crazy thriller. It felt like at multiple points in the game, Texas Tech had lost. There was there were a few play calling decisions late in the fourth quarter and then in overtime as well. Maybe a little puzzling. Some things that didn't go our way exactly, but man, like I said, put the nose of the grindstone and came through. There was a 4th and 20 in overtime. It was, could have been the end of the game there. And
I saw that play. That was a nice play.
Donovan ended up scrambling, finding somebody coming up across the middle. When obviously when the quarterback scrambles, anything can happen. And so got lucky there, had a guy come open late. And then, shout out to the defense in the second overtime for forcing a field goal from Houston that was allowed the offense to get a touchdown in there and get the win.
Yeah.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
Yeah, I just thought I thought Texas Tech's shown some promise here this season. I know they're getting fringe top 25, votes and those kind of things. And you mentioned where NC State fans feel this season. I mean, there seems, you mentioned the extra. I think the word was juice there, and I think State fans kind of rolling through last season. I think maybe this is just me, Michael. I kind of thought we were more excited sometimes going in last season because that was like, wow, we're really seeing something special grow here. And then you saw it end abruptly in a way I don't think it should end in college football with we had the bowl game we're going to play against UCLA, and the day of the game, UCLA just says, peace, we're not playing the game. And State couldn't find that game. That they were probably favored. They were favored to beat UCLA. It would have given them the 10th win in this season, which has only happened one other time in school history.
Wow.
And they feel like they got robbed, I think, for having a special season. So going into this season, you have so many players coming back that they're excited about it, but there's more like they're kind of ticked off, I think, that they didn't get to have that. And so when you say juice, I think you got a lot of senior leadership, but there is that there. I think it's more like we know we can do it.
Yeah.
Just go do it. And with Joey Maguire being like a new coach, I'm curious. You mentioned Kitley, high dynamic offense coming from Western Kentucky. Can you talk a little bit about that? I think everybody thinks about the air raid concept, I think, at Texas Tech. Do you see the same tendencies? How is it different now with Maguire? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there are some similarities in the fact that, and especially with Donovan Smith, and we saw him last year. He came in, he was a backup last year as well. Ended up starting the back half of the season. Did pretty well for us. Led us to victory in the bowl game against Mississippi State as I think almost 2 touchdown underdogs. And Donovan likes to press downfield, and so you'll see him. He'll take some deep shots. We got some big receivers, Jaron Bradley, Loic Fungi. We got some big bodies that we can send down the field, and Donovan Smith will air it out. But there's also been, quite a bit of run schemes and some play action schemes as well that they've established. The biggest issue so far has been the offensive line, and it was known coming into the season that might be a weaker point with not a whole lot of depth. So we've got some injury issues on the O-line, and then just some younger, inexperienced players as well. So that was a tough part of the Houston game. One of their defensive ends, I don't know if you saw him, Parrish, number 0. I think he had 4.5 sacks, 5 sacks maybe. Just eating it up over there from the blind side on the left side. So need to get that left tackle spot shored up. I'm sure that going into such a big game like this, there will be some extra protection and maybe keeping a running back in to help chip off that. But no, we're definitely seeing the Kittley style offense. I think we scored on like the second play from scrimmage in the first game. It was a refreshing sight for everyone to see, coming from the past few years of Matt Wells and David Yost, and those they weren't as pleasing as Texas Tech fans were used to, especially coming from Mike Leach and coming from Cliff Kingsbury, when we had Mahomes. And granted, we may go 6-6, but in the 6 losses, likely to score 40 plus points. So, for the fan base, at least it's an exciting game. And then, under the Matt Wells regime, it was a lot less voluminous in the scoring category. So, we're definitely seeing some changes early on here.
That's cool. Yeah, I've always been excited about that with when it comes to the offense, just seeing the guys really take the shots downfield. I like that. I saw that from Texas Tech. I just think it's interesting, like, in this series, I guess, or let me phrase it this way: going into this game, how do Texas Tech fans are they feeling? Are they confident? Are they nervous? Is it optimistic, pessimistic? I mean, what are your thoughts about how they view this game? Because you got 2 nice wins, particularly one over Houston, which you beat Murray State convincingly, 63-10. How are you guys feeling about this? Because you mentioned, obviously, Houston, you thought there was a points you might have lost the game. Yeah. So I'm just curious where the fan base is right now emotionally.
Megan, I'll be brutally honest with you. The fan base is overconfident. And like I said, I think coming into the season, there was just a lot of energy surrounding the program, and we're up to a 2-0 start. And so for much of the fan base, the sky's the limit right now. I do my best to stay level-headed and even-keeled when it comes to things like this. This is the first road game of the season under a new coaching staff where we're already having O-line issues, and the point spread opened at like 7. I think it's already moved to 10 or 11 now. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, this is an easy game by any means, but the fan base is definitely very confident that we at least have the ability to beat NC State, which might be, might be a good thing compared to years past, where a game like this on the schedule, and you may have some fans that aren't even tuning in because they can just chalk it up as an L. So I do think that, the vibe and the energy within the program and in the fan base at least suggests that, we think there's a fighting chance, which is nice. But the fan base is very, very confident. I think I saw a poll today on Twitter from one of the Texas Tech fan accounts polling, who's going to win the game. And I want to say it was like 87% Texas Tech. Obviously a biased game there, but.
Yeah, that's. I mean, State fans have been there, done that, man, too, and they very well could win this game. I know. I was looking at the series though, which history really means nothing in this regard. The series, I know NC State has been leading in this series. They've played Texas Tech 5 previous times, and State has been 4-1 in the series. This could be a totally different thing. I just am curious because, I mean, Texas Tech has had a solid start, 2-0. A lot of teams aren't 2-0 right now, undefeated. So
For sure.
getting that ranked win at home against Houston, I get that. So I was just curious. But yeah, I think going into this preview for the game and breaking down some of the players and those kind of things in this next episode, that's gonna be really fun. But one question I have before we wrapped up, man, how about those renovations coming to Texas Tech?
Yeah.
Those renderings look awesome.
They do.
Can you talk about that? Are the fans pumped? I know they are.
Yeah. So again, like I said earlier, as far as the trajectory of the athletics department as a whole, on that upward trajectory, it's also been accompanied with very, very generous donors and some Texas Tech alum that are seeing that there is, this trajectory of getting to the top in these major sports, and so they're being very generous and throwing lots of money around into making the facilities as best as they can be. The basketball facility, not sure if y'all have seen that. That's been up for a little over a year now, I believe. And all of the college basketball analysts that have been in there have said that if it's not the best in the country, it's definitely up there. So
Wow.
started there. Now with this football renovation, it looks like it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be the only field with a stadium tunnel walkout from the stands, similar to like how the Dallas Cowboys stadium is. I think there's maybe another NFL stadium. So just some cool little features like that make it, not only state of the art, but unique in its own ways as well. But yeah, the renderings, they look crazy good.
Looks awesome. Yeah.
They look really good. Yeah, I'm really excited for seeing what that looks like in real life. But man, I think this can wrap up our first episode here, previewing Texas Tech. I really appreciate the insight you're giving us on the programs and the department there at Texas Tech, Trevor. But to the NC State fans, I really appreciate you guys tuning in this episode. We're going to have a part 2 coming up here where we're going to really break down Texas Tech offensively, defensively, where we see maybe areas that Texas Tech could have success, where Texas Tech maybe feel like they have some weaknesses. Kind of already hinted at positives and negatives here a little bit, but should be a fun one. Tune in. We really appreciate you guys finding this channel. Please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. And before I go, actually, I would feel like I'd be doing bad service here. Trevor, where can State fans find you on Twitter or YouTube or anything like that?
Yeah, so Twitter, the Guns Up Nation page is just at Guns Up Nation. And you can find all of my articles and stuff through the website there.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys so much for NC State fans, and as always, go Pack, guys.